Have you ever read a news story and felt like something was off? It sounded okay, but you just weren't sure you could trust it. That feeling might be right. The news often uses a trick called positive spin, using clever language to make a story sound better than it is. In this video, we'll look at real examples to show how a few simple words can change the whole meaning of a story. Our goal? To give you the tools to see through the spin and get a clearer picture of what's really happening. The illusion of objectivity. We like to think the news just tells us facts, but the words they choose to describe those facts are never truly neutral. Even neutral language can hide an opinion. How neutral words carry bias. Look at how different news outlets describe the same event. For example, when the economy slows down, some might call it a market correction. That sounds technical, almost natural, like the market is just fixing itself. Others might call the same situation an economic failure. That sounds scary and like someone is to blame. It's the same event, but the choice of words tells you how to feel about it. The psychology of word choice. Words don't just describe, they influence how we feel. Take government spending. If a report says the government will reform spending, it sounds positive, like making things more efficient. If it says the government will cut spending, it sounds negative, like taking something away. Both phrases can describe the exact same action, but reform makes you feel better about it. This isn't a coincidence, it's a tool. Positive spin, a deliberate strategy. This trick has a name, positive spin. It's not just accidental phrasing or a reporter's style, it's a deliberate communication strategy. The goal of positive spin is simple, to make any news, good or bad, sound as good as possible for one side, while still sounding like a simple fact. Understanding that this trick exists is your first and most important step. It helps you to see past what the fake mask of perfect fairness and to get closer to the real story. Decoding the newsroom lexicon. Newsrooms use a special set of words, a lexicon, to report events in a way that also guides how you feel about them. By breaking down real headlines, we can see this in action. 1. Loaded terms that set the tone. Headlines often use words that carry an emotional charge to frame the story before you even read it. Let's look at a recent headline style. Government's new education policy hailed as a bold step forward. The phrase bold step forward is not a neutral fact. Bold implies courage and vision, while step forward suggests clear progress. Before knowing any details, you're led to feel the policy is innovative and positive. A neutral version might simply say, new education policy announced. Euphemisms that soften harsh truths. Euphemisms replace direct, often uncomfortable language with softer, more chosen terms. A company rarely reports mass layoffs. Instead, it announces downsizing, right-sizing, or a workforce adjustment. In our headline, the word hailed, as in hailed as a bold step forward, is a subtle euphemism for praise. It creates an impression of broad, enthusiastic support without specifying who is doing the hailing. It could be a small, partisan group rather than widespread consensus. The tricky power of adjectives and adverbs. Descriptive words are the most direct tools for injecting opinion. Compare a brave new initiative versus a controversial proposal. Both could describe the exact same policy, but brave makes it sound admirable and strong, while controversial makes it sound divisive and risky. In our example, the adjective bold does this exact work, framing the policy in a positive light from the very first word. Every word in a headline is a choice. Words like bold, hailed, and step forward are not accidental. They form a deliberate positive spin strategy designed to shape your perception. They often make complex or debated issues seem straightforwardly successful. By spotting these patterns, you can separate the factual event from the emotional framing. Case studies in spin. The best way to understand spin is to see it in action. Let's look at some real statements and headlines to see how language shapes the story. 1. A corporate announcement, masking layoffs. Imagine a large tech company announces it is letting go of 5,000 employees. How they frame it. The official statement will likely say, "We are announcing a strategic restructuring to streamline operations and better position the company for future growth. This includes a workforce reduction." The spin decoded, strategic restructuring sounds like a smart business plan, not a crisis. Streamline suggests efficiency and improvement. Workforce reduction is a sterile, impersonal euphemism for mass layoffs. The phrase position for future growth focuses your attention on a hopeful future, distracting from the painful present reality for thousands of people. Same event, different reports. Climate protests. Let's see how different news outlets reported on the same climate protest where activists blocked a major road. Outlet A, leaning conservative, activists disrupt commute causing major traffic chaos. The spin, the verbs disrupt and causing chaos frame the activists as the problem, inconveniencing the public. The focus is on the disruption, not the cause. Outlet B, leaning progressive, climate campaigners stage peaceful sit-in highlighting government inaction. The spin, the noun campaigners sounds more legitimate than activists. Stage peaceful sit-in sounds organized and civil. Highlighting government inaction frames the protest as a necessary, justified act of raising awareness. Shifting agency with verbs. Inflation reporting. How a news report describes inflation shows how verbs can hide or reveal responsibility. Passive, agentless version. Prices rose sharply last quarter, putting pressure on household budgets. The spin. This sounds like a natural, mysterious force, like the weather, caused prices to go up. No one is responsible. Active specific version, major corporations raised prices sharply last quarter, citing increased costs, a move that is putting pressure on household budgets. The spin, this makes the actors clear. Major corporations, they raised prices, which is a deliberate action. It shifts the narrative from a vague economic event to a series of decisions made by powerful entities. By comparing these cases, we see that spin isn't about lying. It's about choosing the specific words, framing, and sentence structure that lead you to a specific conclusion. The subtle art of omission. Manipulation isn't always about saying something false. Often, it's about strategically leaving things out. The art of omission controls the story by controlling what you see. 1. Highlight the good, hide the bad. A report or announcement might be completely truthful about its positive points, but it's the missing information that gives a false impression. For example, a company releases a glowing press release. Our new electric vehicle has a record 500-mile range and is made with 20% recycled materials. What's missing? It might not mention that the battery requires rare minerals mined in conflict zones, that the recycled materials are a tiny portion of the car, or that the price puts it out of reach for most people. By focusing only on the shiny positives, they create a narrative of innovation while omitting the negative costs and trade-offs. On purpose. The most important information, often the most negative or critical, is sometimes hidden deep within an article, report, or speech. Your attention is guided toward the favorable opening, and you might never reach the crucial detail. For example, a politician's 20-minute speech begins, "My administration has created 10,000 new jobs and improved our local infrastructure." This optimistic opening goes on for 15 minutes. In the final 5 minutes, almost as an aside, they add, "And to fund this, we will be introducing a modest increase in property taxes." The strategy is the good news is strategically placed first to capture attention and build positive sentiment. The cost or negative consequence is buried near the end, where it's easier to miss and harder for critics to immediately challenge. 3. Sound bites that change meaning. By taking a person's full statement and cutting out just a few key words, you can completely reverse or distort their intended meaning. Full quote. "I cannot support this policy in its current form because it lacks adequate funding for schools, but I am hopeful we can reach a compromise." Truncated soundbite used in attack ad. "I cannot support this policy." The deception. The shortened version makes the speaker sound like an absolute opponent. The original quote shows they are a critic open to negotiation. The omission of the context and condition, in its current form, and the hopeful qualifier, "but I am hopeful," turns a direct refusal. Hence, always ask yourself, what's missing and why is this piece of information placed here? True understanding often lies not in the headline or the first paragraph, but in the details that are softened, buried, or cut out entirely. Cultivating critical consumption. Now that we can see the spin, how do we protect ourselves from it? Here are 3 simple, practical habits you can start using today. 1. The 2-question headline check. Whenever you read a headline or a bold claim, pause for 10 seconds and ask yourself these 2 questions. Question 1. What is this not telling me? If a headline says, "Economy shows strong growth," it's not telling you for whom. Is it growth for big companies while wages are stagnant? Train your brain to look for the missing piece. Question 2. What emotion is this word trying to make me feel? Is a policy described as groundbreaking or reckless? Is a protest described as a chaotic riot or a passionate demonstration? Naming the emotional push helps you separate feeling from fact. 2. The cross-check, don't just click rule. Never let a single article or one news channel be your only source of information on an important topic. How to do it? If you read a big story on one website, open a different tab. Find another major news outlet with a known different political leaning and see how they're reporting the same event. Don't just look for which one is right, look at the differences in the words they use. Do they call people activists or protesters? Do they say tax or investment? This side-by-side view makes the spin visible. 3. Ask who benefits and seek other voices. This is the most powerful question of all. For every framed story, ask yourself, who benefits if I believe this version of events? Does this framing make a politician look strong? Does it make a corporation seem responsible? Does it make a complex problem seem simple? To get the answer, actively look for perspectives from people who are directly affected or who are experts without a stake in the outcome. If the story is about a new factory, read the corporate press release, but also look for local community news or environmental group assessments. The truth is usually found in the gaps between the official story and the on-the-ground reality. Your new habit. Start with just one article today. Read it, then spend 2 minutes doing one of these steps. This small habit builds your spin immunity and turns you from a passive consumer into an active, critical thinker. Become the architect of your own understanding. We've journeyed through the hidden workshop where news is crafted, where words are chosen not just to inform, but to shape our opinion. This isn't about becoming cynical or trusting nothing. It's about becoming empowered. The goal is not to stop consuming news, but to start consuming it consciously. Your mind is not a blank billboard for others to write on. You are the editor, the fact-checker, the final judge. So the next time you read a headline, remember you have the tools. Pause, question, cross-check, ask what's missing and who benefits. Don't just receive the narrative, decode it. Because in a world of spin, your greatest power is your clarity.